Latin is full of secrets, and the case system is no different. Today, we're going to delve into the secret case of Latin. And we usually talk about 6 cases of nouns: nominative, vocative, accusative, genitive, dative, and ablative. But there is a secret case that you don't get told about: the locative case. The locative case is a slightly unusual and not very common case in Latin. It's one of those sort of holdovers from older Latin that disappears over the years. However, it is still in existence in several different very important words in Latin, so you do need to get your head around it at some point. It's used to show position with names of towns, cities, and small islands. Now that's quite difficult to define, but a lot of modern historians have decided that it's specifically islands that are named after the only town or city on that island, so small enough to only really have one main settlement. There are some exceptions, obviously, because it's Latin, but towns and cities is a good idea to start with. Now you might be saying, hang on, do we really need this case? Why have I never been taught about it before? Well, there is a reason for the secrecy, and that's because the ablative has gradually taken the place of the locative. Now, the ablative case is used for things that are sort of an instrument or an agent or a location. You can translate it as by, with, from, or in. That has a locative sense. So most places are described using in plus the ablative. However, the locative does still hold sway in a few places, mostly places that are really important that have used it a lot and therefore retained the locative sense. So what are the locative endings? Well, the first declension, the singular is ae, we say that as I, and the plural is is, just like a dative or an ablative plural. For the second declension, it's e and is for the plural, which again is just like the dative and the ablative. And for the third declension, there is or e as the ending, which is interchangeable depending on the noun, just to be more confusing. But then again, we have the ibus, which is what we expect for the ablative ending anyway. Now, the good news is that you don't have to worry about fourth and fifth declension nouns because we only have the locative in the first, second, and third declension. That might be a bit confusing. When I show you my next slide, you will see that a couple of my nouns are in the fourth declension, such as domus. However, domus uses a second declension ending for its locative, so don't worry too much. So I have some very common nouns that you need to know in the locative. For example, humus means ground. Humi, using that second declension, is on the ground. Domus, home. Domi means at home. This is our locative sense. Bellum means war. Belli, at war. Animus, mind or spirit. Animi, in mind or in spirit. Now they are all, well, fourth or second declension nouns. So why do I need also the first and third declension? That's because of the city names and place names that we might need. They are often first or third declension. So for example, Rome goes to Romae, at Rome or in Rome. Carthago goes to Carthagine, at Carthage or in Carthage. That's a third declension, with my e sound at the end. Athenae goes to Athenis, which is at Athens or in Athens. Now these are really common and you do need to know them, because you might spot them in a passage and think, oh heck, what do I do with these? So these are really, really important ones. There's a couple of others, but these are the main 3 that you'll need to know. And these are the main 4 normal nouns. And that's really all there is to the locative case. It's a sneaky little case that you don't get taught because it's very uncommon. However, it's a good one to know and impress people with. Or at least that's what I like to think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Bambasbat.